It's a lovely day here in Ireland today, which is highly unusual. In this video I'm going to run through some of the questions that I've got from you guys. I'm also going to tell you why I got rid of my Osprey XS48 and my Lanshan 2 Pro. I'm going to give you a bit of a channel update, and we're also going to do the X-Bile giveaway. So we'll get stuck into the old questions first. The first question is from Olive McGrath. If you were buying a new tent for hiking, what would it be? So, okay, I'd like to go for a tent that's kind of below 2 kilos if I can. I would really like to try out a freestanding tent, and I've been looking at the Wild Country Helm Compact 1 because I've heard some really good things about it, and it's kind of in that affordable price bracket, so I would really like to try that out. If I was going for a trekking pole tent, I'd like to try a tent similar to the MLD Geomid, but there's a company in, I think they're in the Ukraine, and they're called Lightway, and they have a Paramo Duo, which is very similar to the MLD Geomid, and as far as I know you can get out with an inner as well, but it can be used with just the outer fly sheet and say a bivvy, so that would be something that I'd be interested in trying. Plus, because it's not coming from America, I don't have to pay out on customs. Or I'd really like to try out the Nature Hike Cloud Up 2. I've wanted one of those tents for a very long time. Yeah, I'd like to get my hands on one of them. Patrick, you seem to walk camp a lot in the Sleeve Blooms. Is that because it's your favourite hiking camping area, or because it's nearby? Thanks for all the content. Must be challenging to balance family, work and YouTube. Yeah, cheers Patrick. It definitely is a challenge balancing YouTube with everything else, mainly family. Like, it does take a lot of time to edit the videos and obviously get the time to go out and camp and all that, but I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change anything. So the Sleeve Blooms, they do have their own challenges. It is a very hard place to find a camping spot because of all the pine forest and all the logging that goes on up there. But once you're willing to go and ramble around and really look for these spots, generally speaking, you'll find some really nice little gems just tucked away. Like, there won't be big areas, but I just love it. It's probably one of the wettest places in Ireland, but yeah, I do like the Sleeve Blooms, and they're not a million miles away from me. I'm lucky that I'm kind of central to a few different mountain ranges and that. Oren Doyle, how does making a video of a solo wild camp change your experience of that camp? So, okay, bringing the camera along for me really adds to the experience of the camp. Like, I love solo wild camping. I absolutely love it. But I don't know if I'd love it as much if I didn't have the camera with me, because when I have the camera, I feel like you're there with me. Like, I'm talking to you, I'm having a laugh with you, I'm sitting there laughing my arse off. Like, there's no one else around, it's just me and you guys. So that's how I see it. Like, I'm like, even today, like, look at me, like, I'm sitting here in the woods, no one around, laughing my arse off. It really does add to the experience of it for me. And yeah, I absolutely love it, and I love taking you guys along on the wild camps and that. The camera does make me look at the landscape a lot more, so I'm looking at different angles, I'm trying to get the best shots, so I'm just a lot more observant than I would be if I didn't have the camera. I wouldn't change it for the world. YouTube and camping go hand in hand for me, or if YouTube ever pop their clogs, I'd put them on a different site just so I could contact or connect with you guys. So yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I think it adds to the camp. Now, I know that that's not for everybody, but for me, that's just the way it is. Carol, summer or winter camping, and I'm starting to record my camps and making videos mostly for myself. What would you suggest I start with, GoPro or something else? So summer or winter camping, I do love the winter for the longer nights. I actually do like camping in the cold as well, and I love a nice frosty morning. Also, for the woods, it's much better in the winter because there's no midges and all that, but I'd have to say I would lean towards summer camping purely because of the better weather. The lighter packs is a massive plus. Yeah, I'd have to go with the summer. As far as making your own videos, honestly, keep it as simple as you can. Use your phone, get yourself a tiny little mic to plug into your phone so your audio quality is a bit better, because audio in video is a big thing. And also just get yourself a small little tripod. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Ulanzi do great little tripods, and small rig, I'm pretty sure, make cases for most of the phones. Just keep it as simple as you can. The more complicated your setup gets, the more it's going to slow you down while you're out and about, so you don't want to be getting stressed out setting up cameras and all that. But if you want something that's kind of separate to your phone, I would lean towards a GoPro. You know, good stabilization, good audio, good footage, and they're nice and rugged, you know. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Paul Greaves: when I'm out hiking, mainly in the Mourne Mountains, I struggle to find wild camping spots. How do you find wild camping locations, and is there somewhere that people list them or recommend them? So I don't recommend that people share camping spots, especially on an online forum. You know, if an area gets overused, it can cause issues with landowners and things like that, and wild camping in Ireland is not legal, it's only tolerated. So if a place gets trashed, that landowner can remove access to the whole area for everybody. I'd always recommend people go out and find their own camping spots. Go out for a little ramble, go out for a day hike. It is always a good idea to have at least one trekking pole so you can test the ground or help you get across little streams or things like that. All you need then is a sliver of ground to lie down on. The rest of your tent can be a bit lumpy and bumpy, so you don't need a big span of flat ground. You just need a sliver of ground, and that's all you want. Don't be stressing about having the real sexy views and all that. There is a lot of pressure on people to find camping spots that have these really nice views, which is really not necessary, you know. You really don't need it, and more often than not you might be up in the clag anyway, so you won't see anything. Hopefully that helps. Right, where were we? Snowcelt: what video audio equipment do you use? Oh, I love talking about camera gear just as much as I love talking about camping gear. The camera that I'm using is a Sony a6400 with a Tamron 17-70 f2.8 lens. The mic is a Rode Video Mic Go 2. The mic that's on my body is a Tascam DR10L with a Rode SmartLav. I have a few different setups, but I'm not sure anyone would be interested in seeing them. So if you want, I could do a video on what filming gear I use and just kind of explain it in more detail and the reasons why I went for those bits of gear. But let me know in the comments below, and if I get enough interest, I'll try and put something together for you. Good question though. Thanks very much for that. Forever Irish: gear that has been a game changer for you. I'd have to say this chair. I was very reluctant to get a chair. I didn't want to carry it. I didn't want to use a chair because I really love sitting on the ground, and yeah, I like to be protected by the tent from the wind, and I just feel better when I'm sitting on the ground. I feel more grounded. And it's just more natural, like, you know. But because this chair has no legs on it, I can sit on the ground. It's closed cell foam, means it's insulating me from the ground. It's got carbon fibre stays, gives me plenty of back support. I can even tilt myself back and, you know, lean back like a recliner. I can put it on top of a stump of a tree and have it raised up a bit. I can lower it down flat, use it as a sleep mat. I can use it as a kneeling pad. It's absolutely brilliant. It only weighs like 500 grams. Cost me about, I think it was €80 or something like that. It's really, really rugged. I absolutely love it. And yeah, let me know again if you wanted me to do a review on this chair. The other thing I would say is a game changer is trekking poles. I've invested recently in new trekking poles because I've used them so much. I thought I might as well have a decent pair, and obviously I have a few trekking pole tents. But trekking poles are absolutely fantastic. The amount of times they saved me from rolling my ankle or falling, it's unreal. You really need to try them and give them a good go. Like, don't give up on them after the first one or two goes. But trekking poles are amazing. They're fantastic for your knees. They make such a difference going downhill as well as uphill. And yeah, I wouldn't go camping without those either. And when I do forget to bring them, I really, really miss them, especially if I have a trekking pole tent with me. That would be a disaster. But yeah, hopefully that answered that question. There is a few other bits, I'm sure, but that's just off the top of my head. Gotta Smoke: you made tea with brown water recently. How do you know if the water is safe to drink? I said that as if there was going to be more. So how do you know the water is going to be safe to drink? The higher upstream you are, the less polluted the water is going to be. And because it was flowing water, it's better again. But the further downstream you go, the more pollutants that water is going to pick up as it goes through farmland it goes down by roads, it goes down by towns and all that. The further downstream, you can just imagine that all the stuff that's coming into the river then is just going to be muck. So the higher upstream, the better. Also, I didn't filter that water that time. I boiled it. So boiling water kills bacteria just as well as filtering. Filtering obviously takes out the sediment in the water, but you know, I wasn't too worried about that. And the water being brown was caused by the peaty soil around the river at that area, which is quite common in Ireland because there is a lot of peaty soil. It doesn't do anything to the water as far as I know, and yeah, just kind of gives it a coloration, and it's not something that I'd be worried about. There is a few different ways to make your water safe. You can use something like a Be-Free or Sire mini water filter. You can get yourself one of those Grail water purifiers like the GeoPress, which removes viruses, bacteria, the coloration in the water as far as I know, and you know, pesticides and things like that. Whereas the other filters like the Captain and Be-Free, they won't remove all those viruses and pesticides and all that. They'll just kill bacteria and remove sediment. That's as far as I'm aware. The other thing you can do obviously is boil the water or run it through a Miltech bag. I think it's called a Miltech bag, just to kind of remove that sediment. But boil water for between 1 and 5 minutes, let it stay on a roll and boil, and that'll kill a lot of the bacteria, so you don't have to worry too much. And then obviously just be aware of what's around you. If you're in farmland and all that, just be a bit more cautious. But yeah, that's how I knew. What's not to hike? My question would be, what is the best tea? Now don't be going around saying it's Barry's, because that's just being biased. My favourite tea is Clipper breakfast tea. It's made with unbleached tea bags, the flavour is terrific, and I find it with a rich tea, no argument, they are the best biscuit, they are. Unless you go down the road of Jaffa Cakes. They complement each other well, they do indeed. I am not fussy when it comes to tea. Once it's in my hand, I'm happy. And yeah, I just like it strong with loads of milk. Happy days. Happy days. I really don't mind. I know I've shown Barry's tea on the channel before. That's just what I happen to have. And Barry's tea is really nice, but like I said, once there's tea in my hand, I'm happy. I don't really go down the road of like chamomile tea and green teas and all that. Just your regular old original blend. Happy days. His second question: if cuckoos lay their eggs in another bird's nest, say a reed warbler, and is then raised by the reed warbler, how does it then grow up to behave like a cuckoo and lay its own eggs in other birds' nests, etc., and not act like a reed warbler? Nature over nurture. I have no idea. I have no answer for that question. He goes on to say, or I could just ask, what's your favourite tent? So yeah, I can answer that one. My favourite tent is the Durston X Mid. Now I know there's a lot of, you know, hype about that tent at the moment. They are extremely popular tents. Like, it ticks a lot of boxes for me. The height of the trekking poles, the offset position, gives me loads of headroom inside. I can use my chair inside, which is massive. And even better than that, I can use my big camera inside, which improves the quality of the video, so happy days. It's proven to be good in the wind so far. I love that it's lightweight and it's packable. I did have high hopes for my Falrev Nabisco Light 1. I really did want to love that tent, but I just can't sit up straight in it, and yeah, that really affects my back and that. But yeah, I'd say my Durston for the moment. Hugo Keys: perhaps the top 10 things you would recommend to a beginner, not just gear but advice too. Okay, I might not have 10, but I'll bash out a few here. Get yourself used to camping before you go camping, and by that I mean use your gear before you go. So go out for a little ramble in the woods, bring your stove with you, make a cup of tea, and just chill out. Just get familiar with your gear is what I'm saying. The other thing is try and get used to the dark. So get your head torch, go for a walk in the dark. Don't go anywhere that's not going to be safe, obviously. You don't have to go on your own. Bring someone else with you. You might as well make them suffer as well. Now, I know a lot of people try and go the affordable route, which is what I did when I started out. But I've quickly learned that your sleep system can make a massive difference in more than one way. So if you spend a little bit more on your sleep system, you're going to have a much better sleep, you're going to have much warmer sleep, you're going to have a much lower weight in your bag, and you're going to have a much smaller pack size. And it's just going to make the whole experience a lot more enjoyable. Focus in on a 3-season one, don't worry about 4-season, because it just gets really expensive once you go 4-season. And if you get a nice 3-season one, something like a Thermarest X Lite or the Thermarest Pro Lite Plus, which is a self-inflating mat, that will mean that you don't have to go and get something like a UL80, which has a very small pack size, but then you also need the big roll mat to go underneath it, and then you need a foil mat to go underneath that, just to bunk up the R value. So if you go for something like a Thermarest X Lite, which is like a 3-season sleeping mat, has an R value of 4.2, it is going to cost you more at the beginning, but you know, you kind of buy once, cry once sort of thing. It has a lifetime warranty, they hold their value, so if it does end up that you don't like camping, you can sell it and get most of your money back on it. So that's the piece of gear that I would say is well worth it. It's going to reduce the bulk in your bag, it's going to reduce the weight that you have to carry, and it's going to perform really, really well. Again, sleeping bags, same thing. If you go for duck down or goose down, whatever, get one that's RDS certified. Don't spend too much money on your stove. You can get away with a Van Gogh compact stove, something like that, costs you about 15-20 quid. Does a fantastic job, and yeah, don't be worrying about going out and buying a Jetboil like I did. Look at second-hand sites. You can get yourself real bargains on those. People who have maybe tried it, or maybe they're upgrading their gear, a lot of the gear on those sites are really good quality, because wild campers look after their gear. And yeah, you could definitely pick up a bargain. You could get yourself a nice tent at an affordable price. You could get yourself a sleep mat, you could get yourself a backpack. You know, definitely check out the second-hand markets. So moving on from gear, yeah, I don't know, just don't put too much pressure on yourself, you know. Don't put too much pressure on having the sexy view and all that. All you want is a flat bit of ground to pitch your tent and have a night out, and that's it. The other thing is, don't be afraid to go into the woods. The woods are actually easier to camp in than the mountains, because you're less exposed to the elements. It's generally an easier walk in. Like, I literally walked 5 minutes up the road, and 1 minute in from the road. You don't have to go that far into the woods to find a really nice spot. Like, this would be ideal. And once you don't have camera lights and all that, you can hunker down here and have a great night. So definitely kind of get familiar with the woods. There is a few different noises, foxes scream and all that, but the woods are brilliant. I started in the woods. I absolutely love camping in the woods. During the summer, the midges can be a bit of an issue, but try and stay away from water and things like that, because that's where the midges hang out. Be prepared for every sort of weather if you can. You know, always bring your waterproofs with you, because you never know when the weather's going to turn, especially if you're up in the mountains. I know probably wasn't 10 there, but we'll move along. Lisa Outdoors, how do you feel now going camping these days than you did the first few times? Is there things you don't give a second thought, and are there things that you still kind of worry about? So I'm a lot more confident now. I don't really mind if people see me. I'm not as worried about going too far off the trail. Do you know what I mean? Because generally speaking, when you're up in the mountains late in the evening, you're generally the last person up there, and you won't see anybody again until the next day. So really, you know, once you kind of get confident, you'll realise those things. I still worry about parking the car. I still worry about where I'm going to park. I worry about leaving the car in some areas. I suppose I worry about the weather as well. I don't really worry about the weather. Like, the weather doesn't bother me. I worry about not having the gear to protect me from it, you know, to keep me warm, to keep me dry. So I always pack my wet gear. I always pack an extra layer. I think you kind of have to be over prepared in Ireland, because the weather is so changeable here. Like, I second guess absolutely everything all the time. I second guess the shelter I'm bringing, I second guess the stove, I second guess everything. I even second guess going. Like, getting out the door can be one of the hardest parts about camping. It's so hard to get out the door sometimes. Like, it's so much easier to stay at home, because you have your kettle there, you have all your food there, you don't have to carry anything. You don't have to bring anything anywhere. It's all there. You know, nice sexy couch, you can just chill out, pop up the recliner, pop on the telly. you know, your kids are there, your wife is there, or your husband or your partner or whatever. Maybe you live alone, I don't know. But for me, you know, yeah, it can be very, very hard. You know, it can be very hard leaving. And then there's the guilt as well that you're leaving, and like my kids are young and that, so I do feel bad going. But again, a lot of it for me is anxiety as well. I just struggle to get out that door, do you know? But once you push through and you get out, and then you get to your camping spot and you set up your tent, you're sitting at your tent, that's when you remember how much you love it and that it was all worth it. Like, you're delighted you're there. Every time that happens, every single time that happens. So yeah, struggling every time I go. Second guessing absolutely everything. Second guessing the days, just everything. Every aspect of it I second guess. So I'm sure that's quite normal, and I'm sure I'll be doing it for many, many years to come. But yeah, that was a good question. Good question. Forever Irish again. Fair play to you. This is on a separate post. Hope you get better soon. What's the highest peak you've done, and what peaks would you like to hike? So the highest peak I've done is Lugnaquilla in County Wicklow, closely followed by Galtee Moor in the Galtees, and I've hiked Crowpatrick as well, which I don't actually think is that high. Is it, what, 800 metres? But anyway, I would really like to hike Mulrea in Mayo. I'd like to hike in the Mourne Mountains. I'd like to hike up in Donegal, in Errigal, and you know, up around the Blue Stacks and that. I'd like to hike in Kerry. Don't know if I said that already. And yeah, there's so many places that I haven't seen, so I want to take you guys along with me. So yeah, hopefully you'll stick with the channel. This video won't put you off. Paul McCann, would you have any thoughts on picking a good camping spot in Ireland? So I've kind of answered that question already. I think the main thing is just get out for a little ramble around. You can check out Instagram posts and things like that to see what different areas are like, and that'll give you a good idea whether it's worth going there in the first place. As well as Google Maps is a good thing, good resource. You can do the satellite view, and that'll kind of give you, if you're looking at the woods for example, it can show you if there's any clearings in the woods or things like that. So I use that quite a bit, and then I obviously pin my locations if I need to. Keep it as easy breezy as you can, pretty much. H-Mark, like to hear your thoughts on the quilt versus sleeping bag. This is a controversial little topic, this one. I went to a sleeping bag, or went from a sleeping bag to a quilt to save weight because of my back. I have a few reoccurring back injuries. Well, really I have an injury there that just kind of lets me know that it's there every now and then. The quilt that I have is a really good quilt. It's a UGQ Bandit quilt. It's got rating down to -6, and it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. I love it. But say that weighs 900 grams, in around 900 grams, because I got the extra long, extra wide, extra filling in it. So I did go for the full thing because I wanted something that was going to do everything I wanted it to do. The strap down onto your sleep mat, so it, in addition to an R-rated sleep mat, it creates a nice little cocoon, and it keeps you really nice and warm. And there is like a neck baffle on it. You can get a sewn in foot box or a zippered foot box. Mine has a zippered foot box, just so if I want to I can open it up. And yeah, it does work very much like a sleeping bag. Now with a sleeping bag, any insulation that's underneath you is doing nothing for you, because once it's compressed, it's not holding any heat. And yeah, that's kind of the main good point about the quilt, is that it doesn't have any material that you don't need, which means it's going to be lighter. I do still have a 3-season sleeping bag, but once that's damaged or broken or whatever, I'll be replacing it with another quilt, and then all my setup will be a quilt. I'll never go back to a sleeping bag. I don't like being restricted. I feel very restricted in a sleeping bag. I feel like I get caught up when I'm turning and things like that. And yeah, I just don't enjoy them. I do not enjoy them, so they just don't suit me. The quilts aren't going to suit everybody, but if you go for one that's a little bit wider than what you need, it can kind of eliminate that problem that people have where they get a draft in. And obviously because you have the pad straps as well, I have 3 of them, and that holds it down nice and snug to the pad. and it makes a really big difference. I love my quilt, if you haven't guessed already. So yeah, that's all the questions. So I suppose I'll talk to you about my Exos 48 and why I got rid of it. I did not get along with that bag at all. I did not like it one little bit. It was causing me pain in my back. Hold on till I fix my chair a bit. Lovely. It caused me a bit of discomfort in my back. I did bring it out one night for a camp and I had a lot of pain in my right side, and I brought the same load out in my Decathlon bag. I had a much bigger hike and I didn't have any pain at all. I just felt like the Decathlon bag gave me a lot more support. It held the load a lot better. I didn't like the way it curved on the inside of the bag to kind of allow for that suspension system. I didn't like the hip belt pockets because you had to use two hands and they're quite stiff, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that there was so little padding in the shoulder straps, and the netting on the front of the bag where the stretchy pocket is, that got damaged, and I have no idea how that happened. Like, I was so careful with that bag. I only used it a few times, like what, 6 times, 7 times, something like that. Obviously it's a lightweight bag, so the materials are going to be a bit light, but yeah, it really shouldn't have got damaged that easy, in my opinion. And yeah, I just didn't get along with it. I did not get along with that bag at all. And there was too many straps and all that hanging off it. The more sleek something can look, the better. I'm not really into all these compression straps and all that. I never really use them, so I decided to just sell it on because it just didn't suit me. I wasn't going to carry on using it just to test it out or whatever. And I've invested the money into a custom backpack. Because the price of the custom backpack was quite high, I had to go and sell the Lanshan 2 Pro. The person who bought it got a good deal on it, so they're happy out. And I'm happy that I got a bit of money to go towards a much better backpack. Well, I hope it'll be better. It'll come to the channel soon enough. And yeah, I really hope that that's going to do me and serve me well over the next few years. It's actually chilly out here today. It was 14 to 18 degrees all week, and yeah, it's absolutely freezing. Maybe it's just because I'm in the shade, and yeah, once I get out into the sun I'll be grand. But as far as the channel update goes, my main plan for the year was to just get out and experience wild camping. I want to just broaden my experience of wild camping, see more of Ireland, bring you guys along, obviously grow the channel if I can. I'd like more people to enjoy the videos. And yeah, I just want to make a nice community for everyone to come and have a chat. So like, chat away in the comments. I know that I've gone lightweight, and lightweight gear is really important to me because of my back, but gear in general isn't really important. You know, if you're able to carry the weight, you can get away with budget gear for 80% of the year. Do you know what I mean? If you're careful about what weather you go out in and all that, you can definitely go camping with more affordable gear, especially if you're able to carry it. I'm simply not able to carry it. And I know that having the more premium gear and the lightweight gear kind of isolates me away from people who aren't into that type of thing. But I will be trying to get a few bits of affordable gear down the line to try and test out, you know, one bit at a time or whatever. I don't think I'll ever be able to do a full loadout because I just wouldn't be able to carry it. I'm only doing it to show you guys the products and try and help you guys out. But yeah, I'm not really pushed on reviews. But if you just want to see more reviews, let me know, and I'll try and put a few together. It will help to keep the channel kind of consistent, because some weeks I just can't get out camping. But again, no pressure on the videos. I just want whoever's watching them to enjoy them, and yeah, hopefully we can see a lot more of Ireland going forward. Now, I think it's about time I had a cup of tea. Do you think Barry's Tea would sponsor me if I keep plugging their tea bags? Leo from Xpile very kindly sent me 2 of these to give away, and I did a little video there a while back just to see if anyone would be interested in winning one. I managed to put the smallest SD card that I have into my big camera, and yeah, that card is full. So I'm gonna have to finish this video with my phone, and my phone is currently resting on top of my backpack, which is resting up against my tripod. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with at the moment. I wish I had another camera to take a photo of that, but have to make do, you know. Oh god, it's all learning. It's all learning. Oh god. I think it's about time we got onto this giveaway. I was hoping to film it while I was doing it, but I'm gonna have to do an audio recording and a screen recording of the phone, so hopefully you don't mind. So I've copied the link to the YouTube video, so I'll just pop that in here and fetch. Choose a filter. Keyword is X-Boil. Continue. 158 comments. Okay, so pick a winner. Fred's Shed, legend. Thanks, man. The X-Boil will be perfect for me. So Fred, you have yourself an X-Boil. Pick a winner. Connor O'Sullivan, X-Boil stoves over gas any day. So Connor, fair play to you. You've got yourself an X-Boil. All you have to do is send me an email. All my emails in the description below. I'll pop it up here on the screen for you just to make it easy. But yeah, send me an email. We'll chat there and I'll get your information and I'll get it sent out to you. Thanks everyone for joining me on this little video. Apologies for the little technical issues at the end there. I think it might have worked out alright. But yeah, I'm going to go and drink my tea and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.